Hi guys, and welcome to another Kamikaze creation video. So started working on the front ends today. The one that was in the UC Torana, I'm pulling it apart because it had a set of Bilsteins and the Kingies that I've shortened that work really well with the weight of the 6-cylinder in the front end. I think these were just standard lowered King springs, but because of the weight of the spring with the 6-cylinder, it sat way too high. It actually sat higher than the standard spring I took out. So these ones I've taken a coil out. I think you can get super low ones, but I haven't tried them. But anyway, I thought I'd take the Bilsteins out and the springs out, and everything in the front end in the picture here is basically new. It's a completely rebuilt UC front end, steering rack, etc. So I'm just removing a few of the bits and pieces to start to build this front end up. It's a messy job, I'm working on the ground, but anyway, it'll work. So I want to get this all built and assembled and trial fit it back into the car without the engine. Then I'll rip it back out and I'll mount all of the engine on it and a new gearbox that I bought, mount that onto the engine, and then hopefully slide the whole lot back into the car in one piece. Anyway, I'll show you a bit of what I've been doing. So this old front end is fairly greasy and grimy. I did rebuild it in the car. So basically bushes and ball joints, tie rod ends, things like that that I could get to while it was in the car, and did a basic build and tighten up a bit. But it's going to be a pretty poor build compared to this one, which has, been completely disassembled, resprayed, etc. So it's going to be a lot nicer, a lot firmer, and everything's going to be new in it. So far I've got all of the lower control arm out of it, so I could get the shock and spring out of it. And I used this awesome tool that I bought for my V-dub over here. I've always just punched and hammered to get ball joints to release, but that's a ball joint tool, and it's fantastic. Tighten it up, screw it up, give it a little bit of a tap with the hammer, and they go bang and pop out. So they're really good. Over here I'm starting to line up the bits and pieces. So you can see here this spring has actually been cut. Not supposed to do it and probably shouldn't publicise it, but that works. This is a KHFL44 spring from King's, and exactly one coil cut out of it, and got the Bilstein sitting inside of it. Now the other thing I did remember, the billies have a lot bigger centre tube on them, and to get them in you actually have to modify the lower wishbone, lower control arm. And I did notice on the new control arms I got up here, I think they've already been modified to allow you to get that spring in. And the spring basically, the shock basically has to go up through its top mounting position and then slide it down through the lower control arm with the spring on it. It's a real hassle to get in, but they're very good shocks. Not sure how other people have done it, but on this control arm, we'll just slowly come back over here. You can see the little notch out just there to allow that spring to slide in when this comes down on an angle. It allows the spring to slide, the shock to slide on in, and then you close her all up and she mounts into position pretty well. I did all that in the car previously, so it should be a bit easier to do with it out of the car. And with that spring shortened the amount it has, you don't actually need a spring compressor either. Anyway, it's working well, starting to get there. Got a lot of cleaning up to do. I'm going to really tidy everything up and make it look nice and clean and start to assemble it back together. So I've just pulled that side off to get the steering rack bolt and washers because I need to mount that rack on before you mount the lower control arms on. So that's my mission at the moment. I've got to do the other side now, get the other bolt, tidy it up, and mount that steering rack, and then I'm on and build the whole thing back up with the control arm, shocks and springs. Really happy with my M20 purchase. It looks good, looks like it's been painted and cleaned up, and you can see over there I've got the Malwood clutch pedal. The only thing I didn't get, I don't think, is the little master cylinder out of the engine bay. So I might have to talk to Wayne about that and see if he can send that down to me, because that's a necessity for this assembly. But nice looking gearbox. I put the shift on it just so I could shift through the gears, and they seem to shift through fine. So hopefully that box is in really good order, and it'll work really well with the car. I do like the old 4-speed, the classic feel to it, and it'll be good to have that original box in the car, just to make this absolutely original, because the 173 that I'm building up is the original factory motor that it came out with. Having the M20 back behind it, that makes it a pretty rigid-edge car. Up in the engine bay here, again another part that I bought. I think it was off one of the country restoration Holden cars websites. I think I just bought it through eBay. So the 6-cylinder engine wiring harness with all of the bits and pieces I need. Just an original harness just to tidy up and tidy up the wiring for this standard engine. Well, not standard engine, but not a blown engine and not running an ECU. Looking good. So here's the block back, very happy. I ducked down to the engine machinist this morning after I got back from a weekend way up in Brisbane, picking up that gearbox, and it was sitting out the front of the shop. So the face looks good, nice and well machined down to the specs I was after. So I do a fair bit of cleaning up on this, just getting some gunk off it. There's a lot of cast iron shavings sitting around, so I'll give it all a good blow down and a clean up. And then I've got to start getting into this stuff. I didn't clean this because I just thought I'd clean one set of gear at a time and slide it into the block to keep it clean. So yeah, I'll hook in, clean this block right up, then start cleaning the components up and start to slip it back together. Looking forward to it. So I've done a heap of cleaning, blown out all the oilways and waterways and given it a good wipe down, and I've just started setting up the bearings into the block, and just now working on the rope seal. So I'm going to get the rope seal in here, which I've now got in and got it down looking good. I'm going to set it up into the cap and clean the crank up and get it in there and tension it down and just check the load on the rotation of that crank with the rope seal in there. I know when my engine builder put the crank in the 202, she was really tight, and he said it's a change in these rope seals. Once they used to have asbestos in them, which made them really good like the brakes, but now they don't. So I'm just going to get that in there, give her all the lube up, get the crank cleaned up, and get it rotating in the block with no con rods or pistons on it. So far so good. I do only have the lower half of the rope seal at the moment, so the next stage is putting it in the cap as well. But at this stage, it's got some nice tension on it. It doesn't rotate freely, that's for sure. It's just got some nice tension on it, but it rotates easily with that single rope seal in it. So the next stage is putting the other half in there making sure she still is quite good and rotates freely. And then I'm ready to start cleaning up some other parts, getting the rest of the caps on, and starting to put the pistons in. So guys, having a little bit of fun in the shed. It's great to have that block back and I can start getting the bottom end all together. I'm still waiting on the head to come, and I don't know if that'll be far away, but no biggie. I've got a fair bit of work to get this block all assembled up and nice and clean, and continue back on to that front end, which I'm making progress on, and start to get this thing back together and get it into the car. So I'm really looking forward to getting that head. My engine builder is very keen to have a look at that and what a Bathurst head looks like. So I'll take it down and show him on the way through to coming home with it. But hopefully by the end of this week we should be getting close to that. Haven't really talked to Adam about time frames greatly, but he didn't think it'd be a long time. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like button please. Pump that algorithm, and we'll catch up again soon.